Correct. We can now stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jessica, please read roll call.
Clark.
Here.
Rubino.
Here.
Ermeling. Here. Easter.
Here.
Wyland. Here.
Do we have a motion to approve meeting minutes from November 26, 2024?
So move.
Motion by Easker. Second. Second by Clark. Any more in discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any public comments?
You do have a letter in front of you. It's good provided, to read that in for public comment.
That was read.
It was read at the board, yeah.
From Joy Roch Kramer. Thanks for following up on this, Jim, and for bringing this to the board. Replacing the playground was great. I just wish they made choices that benefit more than families with older children. I'm disappointed by how out of touch the park committee representatives seem to be with young families. To suggest I take my toddler to a public school playground with all the related security procedures and concerns on an afternoon when children are in school is frankly ludicrous. Our old equipment at Sand Hill Park was worn out, but it had shorter slides and climbing spaces for younger children. Those who aren't in school and actively want to use those spaces during the day. Perhaps the expectation is that the demographic is in daycare. If so, it's disappointing that this is assumed to be the universal experience. 5+ kids who are in school don't need these spaces during the day. Young families do. I mostly am upset that my tax dollars were spent on such an expensive project that doesn't actually meet my family's needs. I was thrilled to get new park equipment, but anyone with toddlers knows that a few token baby swings are not enough to keep them entertained. The committee ought to have looked at examples at Depke Recreational Park, JoJo's Jungle, or even Remote State Park, and chosen multi-age spaces. It's frustrating to leave the neighborhood to find these spaces. Probably nothing to be done now, but I hope that when the time comes to replace these structures, that the board will make better choices. Best, Joy Rathbone.
Trustee Wyland, can I just also share, I did hear from Wassa Events, and they had a board meeting and they were talking about their calendar for 2025. They are gonna still have the concert in Kennedy Park in August, but they've made a transition, and so they won't be holding Oktoberfest that they had suggested they would be holding in September. They've just decided to go a slightly different direction on that, but we will still have the concert in Kennedy Park, but not the Oktoberfest.
Thank you. Any other public comments online?
We do have some joining us online, but I don't. Oh, there's one more. I think that's Trustee Pinsnell that just joined us.
Number 6, update on the Kennedy Park renovations and capital campaign.
So there is a RFC in the packet that pretty much gave an up-to-date update on where the Kennedy Park
Probably.
are, with the exception of a couple things. We did get an email from REI as far as the structural for the retaining wall on Diamond 1. We also did receive an email from Friends of Kennedy Park that they are doing a meeting on the 30th this week. Everybody's invited to attend if they'd like. So it is on the 30th at Green Deck Turner. So they will be working on the strategic plan for the fundraising. That's when we met with them last week, the week before. Big step that feel needs to be done is the strategic plan for the fundraising for, you know, up to the next 10 years or what it'll take to do the fundraising for that project. Also, there was a letter that was sent to you on yesterday evening, should have been part of the packet. You also received a copy of it back on December 20th. Sent the email to you when G. Morty decided to step back from campaign. It was also part of the board packet last week. But when I assembled the packet, I didn't include it. So I did send it out last night, just so everybody got that, along with a attachment, which is just the financials of what they spent and what was remaining. It was also part of the email. It was not really a letter, it was just part of it, an email that was sent to us, so.
It was just the financials, though. It wasn't the letter.
So the letter was just the email where he stated the next steps we should take in the process, so it
Was
was,
there a letter to go with that?
no,
Why he stepped back?
no. It was just the update from Jamie and then an update from him stating the next steps that he would suggest in the campaign.
Gotcha. Okay. Maybe I misunderstood, but all I got was the financials and not a letter.
Yeah, it was just the email. It was not, when I stated letter, I should have stated the email below instead of a letter. So there was
Okay, That's
no,
what I was
there
looking
was no
for.
attachment. It was
Okay,
just what he sent as far as an email.
thank you. Dino, did you have your hand up?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay, sorry. I guess I would like to have more of a discussion as to how we can move forward, with meeting with Kennedy Park. Good Lord. I am not feeling well. I'm trying. So I just think meeting once a month is not going to be enough with a multi-million-dollar project. And I would like to have more of a discussion on that. Also, with inviting us, not inviting us, hey, you're invited, no, you're not invited, that's not working either. I understand that we need to have a lead person, but I also don't want us to feel excluded. And I just think we're going to have more setbacks if that continues. So I would like to have more of a discussion on that, because right now, we're supposed to have a, I don't know, Dino, help me out here.
So one of the things that we talked about, after Cheryl left was, an email that this update would be on the agenda monthly, that we would always have an update from that. And that would include, financials and sort of their progress. And they're not here.
Right. Which
Sarah
doesn't
called-
help at all.
Sarah called right before the meeting. They had a family emergency. I'm not sure what happened, but she said that they needed to take care of that first.
So I absolutely understand that. And as a non-parent, I'm super sympathetic to that, but clearly this project has escalated to this point over 2024, and more specifically since the marketing person made a choice to leave. I think that we are consistently losing time on this. And as a result, I had a meeting with Sean, just to be disclosing, I had a meeting with Sean and Jamie. I have in December, right? December sometime, I think.
No, January.
Okay, the holidays blur everything, but,
Yeah.
so during the winter, in which I expressed my concern that the project doesn't have the sense of urgency I would like it to have. Again, one wants to be understanding that, you know, family issues happen, but it sounds to me like that would reflect that all of this on the Friends of Kennedy Park is sitting on Sarah's shoulders, and probably shouldn't be that way. You know, they should be able to have a secondary person show up and go, okay, you know, I'm not
I'm pinch hitting tonight. But we've, you know, we heard from you guys that they were gonna be here for this, and they're not. And so I think that that's concerning to me. So, I mean, it's a $15 million project that's public facing, that's been announced in the public, that has had a public event. And it continues to wax and wane, as they say. And so I had intended on asking sort of what steps you guys took since Gerald left. You know, so, I mean, what has the staff done? And so I know you met with me, and I understand you met with Sarah, but beyond that, he resigned on the 20th, you know, sort of what else has happened?
You know, we put into the RFP that the next, our RFC, that the next focus is really that strategic plan piece. We did provide a contact for a potential help through that strategic plan. I want to talk about that this week with the Friends of Kennedy Park group. And see if we want to enlist someone. I don't know at this moment, which I included in the memo. We want to go back to a marketing firm because I think we need to decide who we're marketing to and how we're marketing before we would make any additional pieces of marketing that would be developed. So this Thursday with that meeting, we can talk about if we're going to engage someone and how we would engage them, and then get that plan put together on how we're going to step through that. Again, we do have some parents that are interested in grabbing some things. Those are not things that are the total dollar amount, but they have a strong interest in doing those volunteer efforts. Like we had the Politos night, and we have the upcoming night at Bruise Brothers. And we want to encourage those parents that want to do that. We just want to work that into the overall plan on how that's getting put together for a total encompassing package. Other than that, our focus has really been the engineering piece of it, right? Again, when we even had the conversation with the board last week, the fundraising piece needs to be handled by the Friends. We're not leading the fundraising piece. So I heard what you said loud and clear. Although we're not leading it, what can we take on to help alleviate that stress, or to be a part of it, or just to grab things that can help to get done? And I think that strategic plan piece is that next big step of that, and how can we help to facilitate it? But the Friends are really the face of that. And until then, we're gonna make sure that we've got the engineering done, so we're ready to go out to bid.
Okay, so I would respond to that by saying, I think it's important that we acknowledge that we have challenges, that 2024 didn't go to plan. And I think, again, when we talked, I use the word urgency a lot. I think there is an operational part of this that doesn't seem to be happening, because as much as it's their fundraising plan, as you've articulated, it's our park. And by the time we meet again, it'll be the third month of 2025, which takes us into summer of 2025 without this body knowing of a strategic plan, or in all fairness, seeing any movement that would indicate we're beyond the stages of having a sign up on the corner of an intersection and having some nights at Politos. So I think that this body is in a position where it's being forced to wait on something that I think that operationally we shouldn't wait on. This, I mean, March of 2025 for something where you guys had small group meetings in the summer of 2024. And so this time is passed with what I'll just say is very little objective movement forward. And I think that we have to acknowledge the challenge that puts the village of Weston in, because while they're taking on fundraising, it's our park. we voted for it, we're standing in public in front of it, and we are ill-informed as to what's going on. And I think that it is telling that they didn't come today. And I'm willing to, yeah, I get it, but I have a family. I'm here. I had an 84-year-old mom at home with lots and lots of antibiotics going through her, but I took the time to show up today. So I just I am expressing my concern that we will be into March of 2025 before this body knows what's going on, which essentially takes away a 12-month period of time where this body hasn't seen anything happen. So.
And the same thing happened with the marketing material and why we had what we did, to show to show the committee, and then I took reins of it, and then you and I and Morty met hourly, daily, and we got it done before groundbreaking. But again, the stuff, it just sits. And it shouldn't be on one person's shoulders to take care of. And that's what we want to overcome today. And that's why I want to bring it up for discussion. I think we should all work together. I think we did a great job with G Morty and Sarah and Jamie and myself to get that marketing done. And it looks amazing. And G Morty did an excellent job when he was given the right material to do his job. But again, here we sit, and we can't let this lose momentum, and it already has. So, I'd like to know what staff is going to do about it.
We have the meeting on Thursday. We have the meeting with the Friends group on Thursday.
Right.
And if I could speak,
Go ahead, Mike.
I mean, I think sometimes we have unrealistic expectations put on timelines when we meet. The engineering proposal, I mean, the master plan was approved last spring. The contract with REI to begin design was done, it looked like in July. By the time you get all that stuff put together, it's even on staff, we've got, I don't know, a lot of stuff that we're trying to work on, and it's, if Kennedy Park's a priority or Schofield Ave is a priority, Weston Ave is a priority, the PFAS removal is a priority, everything's a priority to somebody. And we're doing the best we can to help get this stuff through. And sometimes we say, yeah, we can do that we can meet that timeline, and we probably need to do a better job of saying that's too fast. We can't meet that. I do know that the Friends group submitted an impact grant for a couple $100,000. They've met with some other large donors that are interested in funding Field 2. That's an $800,000 potential donation they're working through. So, I mean, there are things moving, and maybe we just don't do a good job of communicating that. I think, in the baseball world, baseball was quiet, right? Like you play baseball, September hits and you're kind of quiet, and all of a sudden spring's coming and baseball is getting excited, and like you're hearing people now talk again about, hey, Kennedy Park, and this is the future. Like everybody I've talked to, it seems like in the last week or two now, all of a sudden are asking me like, hey, this is pretty cool. Like I see this is happening. Like, so I think depending on who you are and what I think there is a good buzz about it. I don't feel like it's dying. If anything, I feel like it's been ramping up in the community. More people are seeing it, saying it. Also, I'm involved in baseball, so maybe I'm hearing it from people because I'm around those people that are interested, and it's not just, I guess maybe the people in the general community aren't getting that same feedback or that same interaction, but the interactions I'm getting do seem very, very positive, very energetic. So.
And you couldn't turn on the TV and not know what was happening at Polito's. They had it on
Yeah,
every
and some of that
news
is that the Polito's isn't gonna raise the money to
No,
go
but-
build millions of dollars, but it keeps people aware, and all of a sudden you go, hey, you know what, I know a guy who might be able to help donate for this, or we can submit this application for this other grant. I think we all agreed this was a 10-year project. This wasn't going to be a next year we've got 5 brand new fields and Kennedy Park is over. So I guess maybe there's been a disconnect from day one too about what the expectations were of some people versus others. Cause I guess I always felt like this was gonna be a fast project, would have been 3 years. Would be all done just based on how the phasing, the fundraising, you know, we even said, we're not gonna, they need to raise the money before we go build. So I guess sometimes I feel like we're stuck, you know, we had the same pickleball conversation. If pickleball wants to do something, cool, they raise the money, we'll help them go build. So if Kennedy Park, we'd love to see this final production and completed. But 4 years from now, it's still our park, we're still maintaining it, we're still gonna update it and take care of the items that we as the village need to do. So, I don't know.
So Mike, I would respond by saying that I don't know about any of the things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm on the Parks and Rec Committee.
Sure, so.
And so, you know, I understand that the engineering and all that, we hammered that out. I personally went and did some research and learned a bunch of stuff. But the fact is, I don't know what's going on.
Sure.
And as a result of that, this ongoing sort of, okay, well, what is going on? Like you work here and you have a child who's involved in baseball. So you have an access to that in a different way. But I'm on the Parks and Rec Committee. It's, you know, it's my responsibility in sort of a way to know what's going on. And I haven't been informed of those things you're talking about.
Sure.
And so I don't know what's going on.
Mhm.
And so that creates a point of friction for me as a member of this body.
Yeah, so I think in that document on the screen, and right, wrong, and different, I think it is mentioned that there's talks with people for Field 2 and some other things, so maybe it's not as specific. Yeah, the last bullet point there is, you know, there's a donor interested in Field 2 and a separate donor interest. So maybe those things we need to elaborate more or provide you guys with more supplemental information.
That would be great. Just with you saying that there are 3 grants applied for, how much are those grants? You know,
Yeah.
more details like
Sure.
that would be great. And I don't know, I just think it's silly not to get Dino involved in this too, because he did a multi-million-dollar project with the 400 block, and to leave him out of this is just silly.
Yeah, and I guess to be-
I mean, we've expressed that
Just so
Throwing out
everybody's
the-
clear, I made a personal choice to take myself out of this.
Well,
Yeah.
after.
After 2024, I think that,
Right.
you know, I want the project to go forward. I really do. But after 2024, I made a personal choice to ask to not be the liaison to the Friends of Kennedy Park. So I think that I had just gotten to that point.
Frustrations.
For what reason do you,
Yeah.
why don't you?
So
share?
I'm not gonna spend a lot of time belaboring this, but for personal reasons of frustration with the process and feeling actively excluded from the process. And so I feel I did my best to overcome those things. And when I wasn't able to do that, the psychologically healthy thing to do was to say, hey, okay, I tried my best and I wish you guys well. And so for personal reasons, I asked to be left off of the Friends of Kennedy Park emails.
still forwarded on them. I still forwarded. 'Cause
Indeed.
yes. You can still always join if you change your mind.
And we talked about what
Needs
I
to be
would like to
done.
have happen,
Right.
but
I
But I get
personally
it.
don't attend the Friends of Kennedy Park things, cause,
There haven't been any.
well, I just don't want to,
You have a life.
yeah, well, and I feel like I get too caught up and I have to represent one side and not like 8 parties, so.
So, yeah, with that, I guess I'd like to request that we don't meet once a month for Friends of Kennedy Park. We should at least meet a couple times a month. That would be my recommendation to the Friends of Kennedy Park.
Are you planning to attend on Thursday too?
I can, sure, if I'm invited.
I don't know if it was your personal email or your village email, but I know you were on the invite.
If I'm on the invite, sure, but I would like to continue to be on the invite, not just sometimes. Any other comments, Clark, Ermeline?
Well, I guess you know, I'm a little concerned when we lost Martin. You know, have they found anybody to take his place or what's going on with that? I mean.
Again, at this moment, we have all of the information from them. He gave it to us in a drive, and I think our focus would be the strategic plan. And then once we would have that developed, if we needed to re-engage another marketing firm, we would. I don't know that we will need some additional video work. And we can subcontract for that, and that G Morty would also have subcontracted from that for some additional videos are just more impactful, for a videographer. So, but we're not in that place yet. We do have the starting videos that both REI and G Morty put together. So in the spring when we would, or slightly after when we'd get back to that point, we could subcontract.
Because that was my concern. I thought, well, I hope this isn't gonna stall out some more, you know.
I think we have what we need now, but I think there was, let's see, oh, the poster and postcards, did they get finalized, and do we have a list?
We'll have to ask about the list on Thursday. So if we had a list, it's not something that we have. It's also possible that that's something that's formulated through the community foundation, because the agreement with the community foundation is with the Friends group or with the youth baseball organization.
Yeah, that was, something that was in the minutes from last month that I'm following up on.
Hey, real quick, somebody's phone isn't muted. I got a text message that they can hear.
Yeah, I have everyone muted. I think I have a thank you back on that.
Okay, good.
So I'd like to know how much the grants are for the Impact 100, the Jews Family Foundation, and the Davis Foundation.
I wrote
I
that
had more
down.
details on that. And moving forward to always have those details listed.
Was that
in the
Friends of
agenda.
Kennedy Park that applied for those grants?
Yes.
Yes, so, and again, I don't know if there was possibly some confusion with this before, but so Friends of Kennedy Park is not a separate 501c3. It's the conglomeration of all of the groups together.
Yeah.
And so they're, it's actually Little League is how they're incorporated, but youth baseball, hockey, and softball. So it is possible when those grants are applied for that they are represented, same as our MOU, as those 3 groups, but it may have to be a nonprofit that applies, and then it would be youth baseball. If it has to be, if the grants are specific for nonprofits. Because even the agreement with the community foundation is with youth baseball, but representing the 3 groups.
Got it. Okay, so we don't know if the poster and the postcards have been finalized, and if there's a list, we can, no?
There are drafts of the poster and postcard that we had, I'm sure, on the drive from G Morty. Just if we would want to make any slight tweaks before they would go out, we would have to have that conversation, but not the list.
That conversation with who?
Likely with the Friends, because they would be sent by the Friends. The other piece that we talked about is rather than to pay separate postage, maybe some of those items would be included in newsletters, because those would be sent to all the village residents. And then they would, if there would be like a separate business mailing, that would be developed.
So the list would be residents and business is,
That would be a conversation with the friends. I couldn't, we'd have to have that conversation.
and has this project been added to our website at all?
Yep. It has a separate link.
Okay, I was looking for it, but.
It's under, I think it's under community, right on the top. And then it's all in caps, Kennedy Park renovation and capital campaign.
Can we maybe add it to our homepage, something fun on our homepage?
Video links. Yes, the piece with our homepage is that these are always, these change, so they flex just to keep people's attention to them on recent news. So I can ask Nate, but it's not always gonna appear on the homepage.
I guess I wouldn't go digging for something like this. I would want it, you know, eye-catching and on the homepage.
Again, if it's there all the time it's gonna become stagnant. That's why we keep the news always that it cycles. But we do have that separate page on our website.
Alrighty.
Was the ask letter completed?
Yes, that's done.
Okay, did that get mailed?
It did not get mailed, but it is completed.
So that got I'm absolutely belaboring a point here, but that got finished last summer, right? And it hasn't been sent yet.
It has not been mailed.
Why?
I don't, other than that the friends haven't determined when they want to mail it or how we're gonna mail it, and we can talk about that on Thursday with them on how it would go out, but it is done. It's also possible that ask letter is in the grants that got submitted, and has been part of the conversations that the friends have had with the community foundation. As a fund of the community foundation, I know that they help to facilitate them with other funds that have similar goals, and I'm sure that letter was probably utilized in those conversations. But has it been sent out as a mass letter to a targeted group? No.
How would you know that?
I would assume it would have come up in the conversation with Sarah to say that it was utilized, and at this moment, we have those materials.
Okay, but what you just said is that the letter was used with the community foundation? Again, I'm asking how you would know that.
I said I thought that. Yeah.
Okay. But this body doesn't know that, except for you just telling us.
Other than in the update of utilizing those 3 grants, and we can be more specific about that going forward. Because again, now, I mean, I guess in a piece, like we can only go forward, right? And we all learn together. So now that we know that you want that, we can be more specific in the monthly updates because they'll be on every month.
All right, well, hopefully I come back with more details after Thursday. Yes. Or not here. Any other questions? Concerns? Number 7, update on the potential addition of pickleball courts at Mock Miller Park.
So this item was asked to be added to the monthly agenda. The current update as far as where things stand is basically an update when Jamie and I met with Lisa and Paula from Pickleball on 4th of December. Informed them of the board's decision and vote to have it placed at Mock Miller, which was all part of, we explained to them that it was part of the corp, it was part of our master planning process that, you know, we were moving forward. And Mock Miller was the choice based on, you know, public input, user group input, etc. So we shared that with them, asked them to approach their members because they put out a survey and didn't consult the village. they chose Yellow Banks as another option. And they gave Mockmuller or Yellow Banks. Their survey came back that Yellow Banks was the choice where they would prefer it. We stated, well, you know, we made a decision after multiple discussions that Mockmuller was the location. So asked them to talk to their members and see if they would support pickleball at Mockmuller. Instead of Yellow Banks. So basically we left it with them. That was a month and a half ago. And then we received some information that Wassa was doing some additional pickleball courts. So I met with Parks Director Polly in Wassa Marathon County. Also did some research on the packet from that Thursday evening committee meeting or board meeting or council meeting. So they are converting 2 tennis courts at Alexander Airport Park to 3 pickleball courts, which should take place this year. But as far as their future plans, their West Side master plan for the city shows no pickleball at Marathon Park. So that would be removing the existing 9 courts there. So they have some other planning going on in the next couple months. We should hear something within the next 2 to 3 months. As far as their decision on what they're gonna do with the ice arena, because that's really the big hinge pin is what they're gonna do with the current ice arena. So are they gonna repair it? Are they gonna move it, etc.? So if they would decide to say move, I say move, but not really, you're not gonna really move it, to relocate to another location, it's likely that the pickleball courts would go to that location and they would be removed from Marathon Park. So, so there's a lot going on there to some extent, but it's going to take some time to get to that decision. And I'm sure there's a lot more pickleball discussion going on over there right now than there is here because we don't have any that we're removing. We're just looking to add some possibly. And I think the ultimate goal is to just get more pickleball in the area. I mean, we're the largest county in the state. You know, we have communities all around us putting in pickleball, Antigo, Marshfield, Plover. But we're really limited in this county as far as pickleball facilities. And it's the fastest growing sport out there right now. So I think ultimately we need them to be on board with us though, to pursue, you know, courts. Yeah, we can put in 4. I mean, you could put in 8, you could put in 12. You can hold a tournament no matter how many courts you have. It's just how many people are you going to draw? You know, ultimate 16 is the best for the largest tournament you can handle over 2 or 3 days. But their tournaments, the 2 tournaments they hold at Marathon Park are very successful, massive turnouts, and they do it with 9 courts. So really, we should have an answer at least from what Wassa Marathon County is doing in the next 2 to 3 months, because they need to make a decision. And whatever decision they make, sounds like they're going to go to year-round ice, which affects a few things at Marathon Park or whatever they decide to do with their rink.
So did you find out if they're interested in pickleball at Mockmuller or not?
They said they're open to it. But you're talking to 2 people. You cannot make a decision based on what 2 people say they're okay with.
But they're the
Because
vice president.
if the club does not back it, then those 2 people doesn't really matter.
Well,
You know, you
vice
need the whole
president-
club to be involved in it.
The vice president and the president would know what the majority of the group would want, right? So do they want it at Mockmuller or not? Because that's what we needed to know.
We already knew that though. They
To
put out a
whether-
survey, they don't want it at Mockmuller.
They don't.
Based on the survey that we gave
So
you,
then we
Yeah.
shouldn't have this on our agenda any further.
no, we have to have it on the agenda because a board member suggested or requested that it's on the agenda every month. So it's gonna stay on there.
Okay.
Fun.
I already had this question from Dino, why we were talking about it.
Oh, no, I have a whole other set. of-
No, I'm sure you do, but so we have it on the board agenda and committee because it was requested by a board member. So if you're wondering why we're talking about it, you know, Kennedy Park and pickleball, yes.
I would say the president and vice president said that they were excited because they feel like if we were going to invest in 16 courts, that did make it a attraction for play, especially for tournament play. And so while I think they felt like if that's what the village wants to do, we want to be supportive of that. We just need to have the conversation about what does that support mean as a club? Because if we're responsible to raise $900,000, they wanted to make sure that as a club, they could commit to that. So, and I know they were gonna have a meeting and then the weather came up and the holidays came up and they had canceled their meeting. I think they have met one time since then, but then all of this came up with Marathon County. And I think they've always had the goal of wanting to expand the courts at Marathon Park, but that's not likely the track that is happening.
Yeah, I mean, when the three of us got together, I was super excited about sort of where you guys left it with them. So I felt pretty good. I think obviously pickleball is an interesting culture unto itself. But I thought that meeting was super positive and you guys came away with sort of a rough idea. So then I just I just got a couple of things. So is the Los Area Pickleball a formal organization or is it just a bunch of dudes with little rackets?
They do have a board.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure, just because, you know, because we've had several voices coming through this discussion over we'll say a year, right? So there've been a bunch of different voices. And focusing it on the officers from their organization seems to be a crucial point to eliminate some of the chatter around it. And then the other thing is the West Side plan that you referred to what they call their court plan? Because obviously the municipality does the county have a version of a court?
They do.
Okay,
Yeah.
So then that is the West Side Recreation Plan? Is that what you're talking about?
It could be a master plan.
Okay, all right. So
Because the corp is all encompassing.
okay, so if obviously the hockey buildings are the millions dollar priority, and I am super excited about that. But do we have can we have we had an ongoing relationship with Jamie Polly about other stuff? Like, can we keep essentially pulling her into your extended pickleball work so that by the end of this, there is sort of a Central Wisconsin, I'm absolutely making this up, a Central Wisconsin comprehensive pickleball plan? You know, because if we have a championship level pickleball complex at Mockmuller, and it feeds the county and it feeds tourism dollars and all of the things that we talk about at these meetings, it would be cool to bring other municipalities into that larger network and sort of lighten the load, if you will. You know, like if John McEnroe is going to come and play here, it'd be cool if we could have kids tournaments at wherever, you know, the other places are. You know, because having been to Lake Geneva, the intensity about high-end pickleball facilities is very intense. So that it is a strangely intensely competitive tourism kind of thing. So it's weird. So I went to Lake Geneva for something else, and Lake Geneva has the Taj Mahal of pickleball facilities, really. So, you know, while I was there, I just went and saw it and took a tour. And they have the same sort of intense folks as we do.
So you did bring up a good point where you said we should bring in other communities.
Yeah.
So from that, the question is, do these courts need to be in Weston? I mean, would we partner? Do we want to partner with other communities and talk about putting pickleball somewhere else, but the whole area working together?
I think that's a great idea, but I think the reality of making that happen is zero. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I want none of my money spent on pickleball courts in some other town besides Weston. And I think that's how, I think that's how a lot of people are gonna feel. Like, I mean, we have pushback about the kind of park equipment we put in with our tax dollars, suggesting that we're gonna somehow make this kumbaya moment with a larger community, Marathon County. Like, I have other things for you guys to concentrate on.
And to clarify, it was ARPA funds, but.
Indeed.
It wasn't our taxpayer.
Somehow we
dollars,
funded
it was
think if-
ARPA funds, just to
if-
clarify.
I think if Lisa and Paula can build a bridge to other communities, then this falls on their shoulders, right? They're the ones growing pickleball and we're just providing a really big piece of blacktop, right? And they're doing a bigger plan that we are, that we are a part of. So, yeah, I don't wanna give money to Anago either, to be fair, but at the same time, if just because somebody said pickleball is going to either be in the Badger State Games or is gonna be targeted for the Badger State Games. So all of a sudden that changes the level of discussion altogether, but it seems like pickleball is a train that's going that way. And if we're gonna, if there's a possibility for a big tournament that we can get hotel rooms out of, then, maybe that's a way to look at that.
But again, I mean, I agree, but it has to be driven from the pickleball community.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need
Yes.
to be coming to us and be organized, and I mean, we're struggling with one project already. I don't think we need to add pickleball if they aren't really organized and committed, I mean, just.
Put it on the back.
But we'll talk about it next agenda items.
We can talk about it
Every month.
Well, so some months there's not gonna be obviously an update on
Right.
it,
It'll be a short.
and we know that Western Marathon County told us multiple months, 2-3 months probably before they have an answer on what they're doing.
Right, and maybe if Marathon County or Wassa, wherever, whoever is in charge of that decides that they're gonna rip pickleball courts out, perhaps this group is gonna be like, yes, Weston, move forward. We really want them there because they're gonna be without courts. Maybe they'll come and say, put them anywhere. We don't, as long as we have a place to play.
Okay, then, let's move on. Let's see, number 8, update on Yellow Bank's disc golf course.
So another update, this is the disc golf, staff met with Pete Hoover from Foster Disc Golf on the 10th. We went over the proposal that they provided us in March 23, which pretty much is still accurate as far as moving forward. We are working on a timeline as far as moving forward. So we kind of have goals and timeline set for how we're going to proceed. Really, hole number 2 is the main focus because that's the one that's hard to navigate, hard to maintain, etc. Thorny brush, but also doing some of the things in there like refinishing baskets. We do have spare baskets because we had originally purchased 19, so 18-hole course and a practice basket. So we have 3 new baskets that we will start swapping out with old baskets to get them repainted, repowder coated. Jess has made touch base with Crystal Finishing as far as getting a cost. They've done work for us in the past, repainting trailers, repainting tables, etc. So we're gonna look at the costs for powder coating and painting, sandblasting, getting those done. And then they're gonna supply us with contact for signage because they have somebody that actually is an old school designer. He comes out and actually physically walks and draws the holes versus somebody just coming out with a drone or just basing it on whatever you sketch. And they've used them for multiple courses. So we do have that. We just have to get a timeline put together as far as when we're setting these goals. Obviously, they're gonna change with the season, but there's work that could be done now. So we're gonna start pulling baskets here as soon as we get a cost estimate on what it's gonna take for each. And then we can't take them all in at once because we'd like to keep the course playable. So we're gonna do 3 at a time at this point, and swap them out as we go. So, but we have to literally take all the chains off, take all the SX, drop them down.
At 13 below?
Well, yeah, but we can bring them back here. We just pull them out of the post and then bring them back here. So we could start working on that process, which we'll be doing here soon. So,
It was 30 yesterday, it's fine.
And then also for T-pads, I mean, we had a good supplier out of South Carolina that supplied us with 1/2 inch thick rubber, which is permeable, so you wouldn't have water staying on it, and soak through it. Well, they went to manufacturing a lot cheaper material. It's like half thickness and it tears right away, so we're looking for alternate suppliers for those rubber T-pads.
Is there anything that you can do for that thorny bush or whatever, other than just?
There is, so we've been doing a lot of that actually over the winter. There's a chemical that's called pterodon. So you can actually cut it and then you spray it, actually use a sponge on the end of your spray tip and you put it on the fresh cut. And that should kill that specific root,
Okay.
but you're gonna get other ones to pop up.
Well, sure.
So it's
but I-
pretty much a non-stop thing, but it will slow it down. So once you do it over multiple years, you shouldn't have a lot of those issues.
Well, that's what I was thinking. If you're just cutting them back, that's like.
You're just repeating it.
Yeah, they
Anytime you
just
use,
get new growth.
yeah, buckthorn invasive species, they come back. So like all the ones along the pedestrian bridge on Ross, those were all treated.
Okay.
Also the ones on Birch Street Bridge. Multiple other areas where we've been having just, they keep coming back, so we've been treating them.
Cause I was gonna say that's
And it can be done in any weather, so you just have to do it on a fresh cut.
kind of like a dandelion, you cut it off.
It grows shorter.
Yeah.
So it sounds like hold to it is the first priority, due to safety concerns. So the cutting the brush, leveling. I don't know, can you work on the leveling this time of year?
No, that'll be a springtime thing. Jess also was reaching out to TC Energy on the pipeline crossings. So to allow us access to both sides of the pipeline.
So really, there's no timeline yet?
No.
And.
No, but there's things we can start on now, which is signage, basket refinishing. And then obviously the stuff that we can do when the weather improves, but we can also work on brush cutting, treating, tree removal, etc.
So come spring, you'll have more of a timeline?
Yeah, we should have one probably here in the next month or so.
Okay.
I've been in communication with Pete, from Disc Golf at least weekly since we met.
Number 9, discussion interaction on beverage service agreement with Mid-Wisconsin Beverage.
So we have a proposal for a 3-year agreement with Mid-Wisconsin for beverage services at the Aquatic Center.
I just got a quick question. Shouldn't this be Cronin's contract and not ours?
It's ours because it's the facility.
Oh, okay, so,
Yeah, we basically tell them what they have to serve.
okay, cool, all right. And he's cool with that?
Yeah, we've been doing it since
All right.
1999.
So I'm good.
It is kind of weird, but it is written
No,
by the
it makes
facility.
sense.
If you see
I
the
just wanted to get
definition,
it,
the
I just wanted to
facility
make
is,
sure I asked.
yeah. No, I met with them, talked to them, he's read by RFC. As far as any issues they may have, Mid-Wisconsin has always provided us with the best service. Our sales are better. We have had contracts with Coca-Cola twice in the past 26 seasons. But unfortunately, just,
So,
we've had great luck with Mid-Wisconsin. So, still locally owned.
They were okay with the 5.9?
Yep. They were hoping when they left negotiations, they could keep it below 5%, but apparently they were a little too hopeful at 5%. But we have had 11% increase in the past few years, in 1 year, so 5.9 doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, pretty soon they'll price themselves out of the market. Send a $10 bill, was you kidding? And you buy.
So the new items are the $500 marketing check, the free 3-gallon hose bibs.
I know
The
the
bibs.
feeling.
I was like, yeah, hard to say that. So those are the big items, and then actually pointing out that umbrellas, 2 umbrellas annually, and those are for the lifeguard chairs. They're not the big 20-foot umbrellas, they're the little ones for the chairs.
Who gets the marketing money?
The village does. That was a discussion too. That's where the free 3-gallon bibs came, was that.
How many, how many were there?
Oh, I guess you make me say it again.
No, I'm not.
So the idea was that that would be more of a value to them than cutting the percentage on the cost for some of the stuff that they purchase. That's guaranteed. So you could have a year that's slower, you're still guaranteed those 3 that are free annually.
I recommend approval of the beverage service agreement with Mid-Wisconsin Beverage. Second.
Motion by Cravino, second by Easker. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, motion passed. Number 10, discussion interaction on Yellow Bank's grant for improvements to the river access.
So my RFC is pretty extensive as far as Yellow Banks. We did receive a tentative grant agreement or grant award last year. And we had no contact with them up until the last 3 weeks or so. And the big item that came out of that contact was that it needs to be ADA accessible. They knew when we proposed it, sent the grant in, we told them it wasn't ADA accessible. Well, somehow it made it through all their review and then got approved. And then they're like, they came back to us and said, it does need to be, that's part of what their grant agreement for all their grants. So, Jess was in contact with Easy Doc. That would be a modification as far as the launch there. Initially in our proposal, we had 30,000 estimated for it. The actual cost came in at 23,763. The new Easy Dock, which is handicap accessible, comes in at 40,540. So there's quite a bit of difference. It's just over $10,000 difference based on what was put in the cost estimate that was sent to the DNR. So that is the reason that Dan is here. He is one that has been working with us on the Yellow Banks launch site. And him and Jessica are actually currently working on grant applications through the Community Foundation and the Marathon County Parks Foundation, correct? They're both through the Community Foundation. So what we're really looking to do is, do we want to continue moving forward with this? Right now, we would be short as far as funding it because we would have more out-of-pocket expense due to the launch. But we're very hopeful that one or both of these grant applications will cover the additional expense.
And then if we don't get the grants, then what?
So that's one of the things we've been looking at. So do we modify the design? The 2 big out-of-pocket costs are the blacktop and the launch. Well, the launch is pretty much a fixed cost. At this point, we have cost estimate. We know what's going to cost. If we would modify what was proposed, which was a parking area with a driveway entrance, would it make sense to do just a drop off and then they can still park in the existing parking lots? But this doesn't say we're absolutely doing it. I mean, we should know on the grants by May-ish probably, if we receive one. And then, obviously we can make a decision at that point if it's, if we're not going to move forward with it. I mean, there is funding available. We could, look at parkland dedication, of course. But it's really, we want to make sure that you knew that we were applying for additional grants. They're not like the state federal grant that we received, which we need authorized representative like Jess is for the one that we received there. But we do need to still complete a grant agreement with the DNR regarding the existing grant, which is 48,000.
Dan, you were cool enough to come, so I thought I think I'll ask you a question. So, it seems like Sean's pretty confident in the grants. Are you equally as confident?
Yeah.
Okay,
I talked to Kelly, Kelly at the Park Foundation, she's the new gal. She was retiring Friday. So Kelly suggested, because it's an impact 100 grant,
Right.
so you can apply for $1,000 to $100,000. She said that we should apply for somewhere in the area of $30,000 grant.
Okay.
Actually, the paperwork that we're working out that I supplied to Jessica today, we're applying for $25,000 through the Community Foundation and then $10,000 through the Parks Foundation.
Okay.
Which should both be doable, and then that leaves, the village with a small in-kind, donation, and I told Sean that, I would donate my engineering surveying services for the launch.
Okay. And then the follow-up, so is this work completed this summer, or is it work completed for 2026, or
I
rough?
wouldn't see a reason it can't be completed this year, but, I guess that's completely up to Sean.
We think it could be done this year.
Okay.
We've met with public works staff because we are doing forced labor and materials, which would be village staff and materials.
I love
That's-
that so much.
It's forced,
Always
not
loved
forced,
that.
forced
I
labor
know, I
and
know.
materials. But I mean, yeah, we met last Thursday to discuss, parks projects for the year and, if it can be fit in. We're meeting again this Thursday. And I think it's realistic. We know the ability of our staff and how quickly they could turn out that site and what needs to be done. So I think it definitely could be fit in the schedule. Michael's nodding his head up and down, not left and right. So.
Well, nice job, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, and by Dan just stating that if he would, waive his surveying and engineering, that's $9,500. Of the 10,540 that were short from the previous.
There's probably gonna be some additional costs though, because of the ADA, because
Because of the
the original
sloping.
design didn't, I mean, ADA, you're at 5% grade.
Yeah.
And there's quite a bank there, so even though we're saving my fund, there's gonna be a little bit additional cost, which, once the design is completed, as far as creating that ramp.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and we had discussed it wouldn't be like a straight ramp down, like more of a S curve down, so you can minimize, the slope as you're going down instead of it just being straight down. Cause then you'd have to grade it like all the way back to Northwestern to get the 1 to 12, right? 1 to 12?
It's actually a 5%. I talked to MTS, I'm working with MTS on this, and they're willing to provide some in-kind services as well. But you can go 5% without needing the handrails, because the handrails would cost a lot of money if you're starting to put on the handrails to the whole thing. So, and if we can do a 5% switchback and not.
So then, yeah, one more. How many launches do we have in Weston?
So you have the Ross Avenue one
Yeah.
and then Highway J.
Okay.
And then Yellow Banks.
Three? Okay. How many of them, just because he's here, I'm gonna ask him. How many of them are ADA compliant?
Zero.
Okay, so
The
then,
only one that's ADA compliant is in Schofield.
okay, so we're gonna end up, just for long-term planning, we're gonna end up going that direction in time eventually, right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
the Lawson ones are.
Good.
I don't think that the one at Ross will ever be ADA compliant. I mean, that'd be a huge engineering project.
Okay. Okay.
So, and I don't think it's required, but the nice thing about, the Yellow Banks, developing the Yellow Banks launch is that the Iron Bowl people, the Wassa people applied for and received, state water trail designation on the Wisconsin River all through Marathon County and on the reach of the Eau Claire up to Yellow Banks. And so that's why we're pretty confident in the funding
Okay.
from the Community Foundation, because it's part of it's called the Great Pinery Heritage Water Trail. So that's the last designated location on the water trail, so it's pretty fitting that it would have an ADA compliant launch. Be a nice addition to the village.
So I'll make a motion to recommend approval of moving forward with the improvements at Yellow Banks Park.
Motion by Corbino,
Also,
second by Ermeling. Any more in discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, motion passed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank them.
Possible next, what's it?
I think this thing just did its number on me again.
Possible next meeting date, February 24th, 2025.
Jessica.
Yes, yeah.
Topics for future meetings. Remarks from staff?
Just a reminder that there is a meeting on Thursday for the Friends. It's at 6 to 7. I did look at the invite and I see that you were invited.
Oh, yay.
It's just the email. I shouldn't say invite. You were a part of it, so you should have received it Wednesday or Thursday. So it's from 6, 7, and it's room 3, I believe. Our next meeting would be February 24th. Yes.
To be excused.
Did you catch that, Jess?
Excused.
All right, let's see, remarks from committee members. I guess I just have a follow-up question for December. Shoni, we're going to contact Sportsman Software, to see if we could add disclaimers to the emails.
And I did touch base with Nate about that. I don't know if he got a response on that though.
We'll have to ask tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll ask tomorrow.
Okay, well, that was a follow-up for this meeting. And then also with that, we need to find out if we can send follow-ups to gather the data to pass info along from Friends of Kennedy Park.
For what?
So we talked about at the last meeting, if, so you guys send out some sort of follow-up after somebody has a reservation, right? That's what we were talking about. And what I asked is if there's a survey or something that goes to people post their after they have a reservation. So, you know, I reserve whatever it is people reserve, and then afterwards I get an email, hey, did you have a good time, kind of thing, collect that information and pass that information along to the Friends of Kennedy Park so that they can use that for fundraising going forward. That's what we talked about last time.
And I guess I don't really want to dive too much into this, but just for the record, I was not at the last BOT meeting because I was in DC, but I just feel like I need to make this statement because I was kind of thrown underneath the bus. G. Morty did not quit because of a statement I made or another trustee made. That's what I want to say. Any other announcements?
So it is room 4, not room 3, on Thursday night. Sorry about that. Room 4 from 6 to 7.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Easker,
Second.
second by Clark. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is now adjourned at 6:09 PM.